So, Aurie Styla, is such a pleasure to have you on the platform.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate you.
So, you one of the biggest, rising stars and actually one of the biggest figures, contemporary figures in comedy right now. Lots of people are talking about you all over the internet.
It's I guess so. I don't know. I'm never on that side of the conversation to know who's talking and saying what, but I'll take it. Yeah, why not? I'll take it. Thank you.
So, you were raised in London and have become one of the UK's most recognisable comedic talents. Please tell me about growing up in London and how you developed your love for comedy, and also when you realised you were really good at it.
I always wanted to do comedy as a kid. I think when I was about 11, 12 years old 13 years old, I think we lost a family friend who passed away. She was quite young herself, and I was close with her nieces, nephews, and so on. And we went to the funeral, and I remember seeing a comedian there called Penguin. He passed away not too long ago as well. And he was at the funeral making people laugh. And I think that was the moment I was like, I love the idea of making people laugh just on a general, like, face-to-face basis, but being able to control a crowd and turn what's supposed to be a down moment to something quite uplifting, that was when I was like, this is a job that I could do. But I didn't pursue it until I was, 22 when I first jumped on stage? 22 years old. So in that whole time, it's like I was always trying to do something that was funny within something else. So I would make music, but the music would have funny elements in it. I would write poetry, but that would be funny. I would try and use levels of or elements of my creativity and put humor into them. Whereas when I got to 22, I was like, let me just take the jump and go on stage and do 5 minutes and see how it goes. And the moment I did that, I never looked back. Yeah.
And, looking back at your journey so far, what experiences have shaped you in becoming the comedian you are today?
Failure.
Okay.
Failure. You can't. You don't go on stage and you're automatically good at comedy. You can be naturally funny, but it's not the same thing. So you go on stage and you're not the funniest in the room, or you didn't get them that time, or it's awkward, and you go, okay, I'm going to get them next time. And then you go back again and you don't, or you do, or it's a roller coaster of positives and negatives, but you figure it out as time goes along. Being able to do all the work that you do and it's still not work. It's not like a job where they tell you need to do all these documents, you need to file all these cases, you need to put up all these shelves or whatever it is you do. It's a job where people's opinion is what matters, and you can do really well at it and still go and people go, yeah, but I didn't like you because of something as minor as I don't like the way you look, or I don't like your trainers, or whatever it might be. So you have to, it's one of the jobs you have to build your own character, where you go on stage and you learn to go, I know I'm funny, but it's for me to present it to you rather than you tell me if I'm funny. Once you learn that, you then go, okay, because I know I'm funny and I'm presenting it to you, how much do I care about the feedback that comes back? You're supposed to care, but you're not supposed to listen to the one person that may have had a bad day that just wants to break into your soul. You're supposed to kind of pay attention to the general consensus of the room, and also to what your instinct that understands humor goes and says in that moment of, I know that was good. It may have been because the acoustics, maybe in the audience. You try to look at all the different reasons as to why it may not have been the best you think it could be. It's never to blame anybody else, but it's to take a lesson and go, all right, so how do I manage to tackle that the next time? It's continuously either failing or not hitting the best mark that you can, that then goes, all right, so how do I then become better the next time? How do I go into a difficult room and make it work for me the next time? How do I go into a room where the acoustics sound terrible, but I still want to be able to go into that room again and make it work the next time? It's always learning how to be better for the next time, because there is a phrase that says you're only as good as your last show. It's taking that concept and going, hey, so my last show was, it could be what I thought was perfect, and I still go, all right, that perfect is now not a 10, but it's my 8 out of 10. How do I go to the next 10? And that's what I think helps shape you as a comedian, is the continuous, there is more to do and there's more to learn. And as funny as you think you are, there's always more funny in something. So how do you find that, and how do you become that? How do you embody that? And then how do you present that to the audience that want to laugh at you and what you do? That's kind of how it works. For me personally, everyone's different.
I think it's incredible what you're saying, because kind of like, being maybe like a footballer or an actor, you're always judged by the previous film, match. What drives you when you don't have such a good day to keep going and improve for the next one?
Because I paying bills is one now, because it's what I do for a living. So you kind of got to get up and just get back to it. But if we're trying to be like more reflective and philosophical, I think there's no better feeling as a comedian than to go and know that people left and they go, I forgot about how hard my week was. I really enjoyed that. Whatever I was feeling when I walked in, I feel 10 times better. There's something really nice about knowing you were able to do that for people, and you feel it from them, and it makes you feel good as well. If you might have a down day as a comedian, you go and make an audience laugh, all of a sudden your day is a lot better. So there's something in that I really take pride in trying to seek out, is how do I make you laugh? How do I make this feel like it's just a natural, we come in here, we have a good time and we leave, but we left on a high because the time was really good. If I didn't do it last time, how do I make sure I do it the next time? It's literally just that. There's no deep, somewhere in Pandora's box, there's an answer that once opened, it's explained. It's literally, was the show good? Yes. Did I feel good? Yes. Did they feel good? Yes. Great. If they didn't feel as good, or if I didn't feel as good, how do I make sure the next time we feel good? Because I know what feeling good looks like and feels like when you're in that zone. So I think it's just the wanting to make sure you have a great time, knowing everybody else had a great time. And if it doesn't work to the degree it could do, making sure the next time you try to find a way to make it happen. It's literally just that.
And I think like something that's really incredible about you is that you're not just a comedian in the sense of just a comedian, you're an entrepreneur. You're
I guess so, yeah.
You have your own podcast and studio.
Yeah.
You also have had several podcasts. I think it is about 2 or 3 podcasts you've done over a period of time.
I think it's 3. Wait, Respectfully, No Escaping This, Repay Gang, and Aurie Styla 4. I've had 4. Wow, I've had 4. That's a lot. It's not always a good sign, because if you start and stop, it's not always a good sign. But there are reasons as to why, like times changed and like COVID hit and what that affected in terms of how we could even operate as a podcast. But yeah, I've had that. Yeah. Sorry, let me not stop you. Apologies.
No, it's okay. We'll talk about that as well. And you've also had great successes. So you've sold 30,000 tickets for your shows. You've done all of these incredible things. So what do people underestimate about the business side of being a comedian?
It's only 10% humor and talent. The rest of it is marketing, business, admin, organization, logistics. That takes up most of the time. People assume you're just funny and that's it. The best of comedians or the most popular of comedians that you know that might be funny, either they're good at managing their admin and logistics or somebody else has to. But you don't get to see them unless somebody is letting you know who they are by marketing them. You don't get to see them unless somebody's organizing where they go and when they go, be it if it's them or if it's somebody else. So I think the thing that people that get confused about the job is all it is being funny. There are people that, by others' opinions, are not funny and are ultra successful because of how well their business around them are marketed. The same way that there are people that are super funny, but no one knows who they are because no one's able to find where they are or who they are because no one's marketing them. No one's helping them get from A to B, or they're not helping themselves do that. The business is more important than the humor in terms of being able to let the brand, who is the act, grow. But to be sustainable and to be likable and to have something to market, that's what the talent is. That's what the comedy is. You have to have something people want to see so you can sell it, but it still has to be sold. So that's the misconception. People think you just make people laugh. That's the end of it. There's so much more to it than that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And another really cool thing about you is that you've been on Jonathan Ross's Comedy Club.
Yeah, I did that. It was a TV show he did. I think it was only one season he did. Just after COVID, if I remember, where Yeah, it was after COVID because we had to limit the audience members. They had to space them out, but and they all had masks on. Oh gosh, that was horrible. Like if you can't hear people laughing when there's a reduced amount of people, the thing you do is you watch them to see if they're laughing. But if their face is covered like this, and all you see is that, you get a gist that they're laughing, but it's harder to engage with if they are. But yeah, I did that in 2021 or 22. I think 2021. Yeah.
So
you done your research, boy.
yeah, I've literally read everything.
No, go ahead, tell me.
So what was it like, firstly, like meeting Jonathan Ross, and how did the experience help you develop your style in terms of becoming a comedian, and even the route that you took? Because something like that is high pressure. It can be hit or miss.
I wouldn't say I felt the pressure, and that's not an arrogance thing. I kind of, by the time I did that show, I'd been doing comedy. I started when? 2010.
Yeah.
That's like 2010. It's 2021. I'd already been doing it 11 years. I already also know that you go and do television and you're going to deliver some of the jokes you want to deliver them, but they then get edited down to what works for television. I know that you give them a whole batch of jokes and they tell you, we want that one. That will work well here. You kind of go and you deliver it and it works out how it works out. People see it, they go, cool, or they go, that's not cool, and then you move on to the next thing. I don't see the pressure of that because TV has not been the break of my career at any given point. Like, the show itself was cool, it was a great show to do, but it was never going to be the thing that made me. Not because it's not capable of making people, but there are some people where TV is their avenue. Mine's been very direct to my consumers, direct to people. So whether it went well or not, that was never going to be the thing that people go, I'm following him because of his appearance on that show. So yeah, the pressure wasn't really there on that. Meeting Jonathan Ross was great. I've seen him loads of times beforehand, but never got to really engage with him. I don't care about the meeting of the people when they're on the stage because I know we're all in work mode. It's how do people interact behind the scenes. He's a huge music head, and I'm a son of a DJ. So the appreciation of music from, I think my dad's a little older than Jonathan, but the appreciation of music that he has, I recognize my father, who is been a DJ since he was about 12, 13 years old and has collected, it's probably about 48,000 vinyls in his lifetime of DJing. So there is an understanding I have of a man that can look at music and go, it's not just something I enjoy and listen to, it's in my blood. And he has that. And that's the one thing he came and approached with when we spoke, because I think we were listening to music in my green room and he knocked on the door, came in, said hello, and he was just engaged with us in that level. That's the person who he is, or that's the people that you want to meet, is those who, when they're off stage, present with their passion and love, which doesn't have to be, let me be performative and present with everything that's comedy because we're comedians. Most comedians want to switch off when we come off stage. And that was nice to see him do, if that makes sense.
That's just really incredible. And I want to talk about your radio show, your podcast on BBC Radio 4, Tech Talk.
Oh, sure, yeah, let's go.
So you take a really like comedic look at technology. Mm-hmm. So how did the whole idea come about? How did you come up with the idea? And how do you constantly invent new material?
So with Tech Talk, the idea came about because there was a call for new radio shows that BBC were doing where they would reach out to people to say, hey, we're looking for great ideas for shows. I'm huge on technology, tech, gaming, and I'm a big nostalgia fiend of like movies, music, and television shows. So that's where I geek out in. So we pitched for Tech Talk, which was the first season was me approaching technology and the points of technology through my life and journey in tech. And they instantly loved the idea. They was like, this sounds great. Give us a rough outline of how it would look. We pitched that. And they were like, this is great. So they then commissioned us to do 4 episodes for the first one, where the journey started off, whereas from I'm a kid who learns about technology. my formative teenage to early adult years. Then the third episode was where I'm at now with technology. And then the fourth is where do I foresee myself in technology in the future? It was great. It was a great kind of concept, and it worked really well. And then they gave us a second season, which we just released as well, where rather than it being me in me in technology, it would be me in looking at the evolution of different technological advances. And rather than it being of a particular device, it'd be the advancement of technology and music, the advancement of technology and fitness, the advancement of technology and help or assistance. So going from like the evolution of AI assistants from when they were on computers all the way up until now, where we have them integrated into everything that we use. It came about because they were looking for a new show. We gave them that. Writing the material was pretty fun because it wasn't anything that was unusual to me. I was talking about things that I would talk about with my friends all the time and geek out with my friends. We're talking about tech, we're talking about gaming, we're talking about the like music or the evolution of these things. So writing the material was pretty easy to do. You kind of outline a script of how, like, there's a lot of research, more than I expected it would be. Even the second season, the first season was easy because it's about me, but the second season, it was like coursework. But we wrote the entirety of what we'd want to talk about, and then what I would do is go, how do I punch this up and make this funny? And that was kind of the process. It took a minute to do. It can be quite tiring to go through because script writing can be a lot and it can be quite heavy. But when you're filling it in with jokes and then you're seeing the outline of what it is you delivered, it's great. It's a lovely thing to do. It's a great process, and it forces your mind to consider other avenues of being funny rather than what you just go on stage and do. So that's the process. That's the reason. I think I answered all three, didn't I? Yeah.
You did. And the next question I'd like to ask is, can we expect a season 3 of Tech Talk?
Who knows? Hopefully. It depends on where I'm at the time with touring, because usually Tech Talk is released every year. Ideally, I wouldn't mind doing another season. I would enjoy doing another season. It was just, you get to a point where if I'm on the road touring, I still have to then write the script whilst being on the road touring. If I'm in a good momentum with the tour, then I'd be happy to go and do season 3. If I struggle with, like, I'm still piecing the tour together, we've added so many shows where I can't even get home, that's where it gets tricky, because I'm the one who normally drives around from city to city. If I'm doing that, I can't sit down and type when I'm on the laptop and so on. So it just depends. But if I had a choice, I'd love to do a third season. Would I know what to talk about? That would be the tricky one. I'd probably look at the evolution of other bits of tech that I haven't explored already. So, yeah.
So drawing upon your love of technology, what excites you the most about technology, and what concerns you maybe about where technology could be going?
Good question. The excitement, I think, is on just how productive you can be if you use technology in a way that you can make life easier for you in general. So my car, I drive a lot. My car has like its own self-autonomous driving option. I rarely use it. Knowing I can, if I'm on the road, is great. The idea that that's what we used to see in TV shows like Knight Rider or in Flying Cars and the Jetsons, seeing it kind of come into fruition is great to see. The practicality of it, idealistically, is perfect. Like, who wouldn't want a car that can drive itself? Who wouldn't want camera equipment that when you connect it to a video mixer would know when I'm talking and just watch him. Things like that create a certain level of convenience that I think is beautiful to see when you look at what our parents may have had to have done to simply take a simple picture of us to then put it in a photo album. Whereas now I just pull my phone, press a button, click, and it's done. The convenience is great. The problem that we have is where technology may go, if you're not careful, is the management of convenience means the laziness of us. And you start to get to a world where the movie WALL-E represents this really well, where robots were self-aware and then they start to manage the humans, but the humans themselves are overweight. They can barely walk. They literally just live in pods and they get fed as any given moment. the film is obviously playing into an AI which is self-aware and then wanting to turn evil and bad. But if you just look at the humans themselves, I would never want to become a part of a society where the world is run by machines and all we have to do is just enjoy it being run because we've programmed our own laziness to that degree. Surrogates, that movie is a great film about people that rather than leaving their house to go to work, they just get into a little pod, they put these goggles on their eyes and they control a cyborg version of themselves that they can go out in the real world and they can idealize how they look rather than working on themselves. That is the danger of where technology can go if we normalize the idea of you can build what you want to look like, you can program how your house and how your fitness or how everything that you would like to make convenient works, and all you have to do is wake up and exist. That takes away a purpose from life. And that's where I think if you lean heavy into that, we then become a part of our own destruction, even if it just means we lose not just our autonomy, but that creative spark that differentiates us from machines. There's a reason why people look at the progression of AI and go, it's scary because creativity is now being digitized to the point where we can sometimes not know where the line is of this is great or this is now too far. Am I even needed creatively? We're not there yet. We're nowhere near there yet. People think we are, but like when it comes to generating movies and images, it's still taking stuff that's already come beforehand and then recreating those things to create new versions of models that have already been created. Genuine creativity is something we haven't that machines haven't achieved yet. Like authentic, self-generated, explored, self-invested, self-implemented, and like genuine, authentically incepted creativity, machines can't do yet. The idea of a singularity where machines get to a point where they are as smart, if not smarter, than humans when it comes to how the brain can operate hasn't, and then be that self-aware hasn't happened yet. The concept of it, when we see it in movies like Terminator and so on, it hasn't happened yet. But there is a reason why people fear that it could do, because of just what it looks like now when computers are not that smart to be authentically and genuinely, self-aware to be able to operate in that way. So I can see why people get scared of things like that. And I can see why, like, if you don't put a cap on how far we go with this, you can push towards a line where it is at least self-destructive of not necessarily just our of our existence, but just our regular livelihood and what makes us human and what makes us like people with or creatures with a soul. So yeah, that's where I think it can get dangerous. It's a long-winded answer, but yeah.
It was brilliant. I loved it.
Thank you.
I would also talk about your Maverick Tour.
Yes.
So you've got a really exciting tour coming up about the Maverick Tour. We'll be talking about, everything, relationships,
yes.
personal struggles. Just talk to me about it, how you came up with the idea for it, what people can expect.
A Maverick is someone who moves alone quite often, who is very kind of singular-minded and says, I'm going to do my own thing. It's very much the nature of most comedians, but particularly me, who I'm not married, haven't got children, and I'm always on the road. So I live quite a nomadic, peripatetic lifestyle. So I understand that a lot of us do, but I'm very comfortable in that. So I called it Maverick because that's very much how my life kind of goes. But within that life, our experiences that I can talk about, that as a very kind of lonesome nomad that travels doing comedy, my experiences are very much I'm here existing and watching everything around me that goes on. And that's what I'd like to talk about. And the things I've experienced myself. Like my last tour was the Orator. That was the one I did 30,000 plus tickets on. And I was in one place. I was in a relationship. I was traveling a bit too much where I couldn't even be home as much. The relationship I was in was long distance as well. So the nature of that, there was a lot to talk about in that instance, and even working abroad for extended periods of time allowed me to meet different people with different backgrounds and ideas. And then you get to this point where I'm not in the relationship, having to date, having to navigate this new kind of level of almost popularity or fame where I'm not, there's a void in the middle where I'm not famous enough to whatever those things might be, but I'm also not like anonymous enough to whatever these things might be. There's a middle void of where I'm at. Like I talk about dating on using a dating app, and every time I match with someone, the first thing they say is, "Oh, are you going to turn me into a joke?" Like that's an experience that when I am able to discuss and talk about is something I have to go through. But it's fun to explore it and then to turn it into a joke and then to present it to people. So the tour is kind of around those experiences, and like things that have gone well and disappointments that I've had as well. And it'll just be like another step of my life where I can discuss what's been going on since the last time where everyone thought, wow, he's doing well. And I go, well, I am, but there's also things I need to work on. So yeah, that's where it'll be.
I think like the answer was actually so deep, and I actually just came up with another question off the back of what you said.
Talk to me.
So with you now being a celebrity, and you've literally, I would say...
I wouldn't even say I'm that, though. That's the thing.
I would say, to a degree...
I don't know. You being known and being a celebrity, I wouldn't say the same. I don't live the life of a celebrity at all. But I would say I'm known for what I do. But there's many people that I could walk past and would never know who I am. So it gives and it takes.
Okay, well... I would say being somebody that's in the public light, is that
okay?
That
will work. Yeah, that will work. Celebrity now, but someone who's in the public eye, I guess, to a degree, yeah.
So, like, how has that impacted your approach to dating? Because I'm sure that in the back of your mind, you also think about that a lot as well.
It's problematic because I don't want to be treated like my job. But if I meet people in the environment of my job, the first thing they already have in their mind is a preconception of who I am as a person. If I meet people on a dating app, if it's not a dating app which is geared towards people in that kind of sphere, which there are apps that are like that, and it's just it's a regular dating app where you meet more grounded, regular people, some of them will either know who I am and say, or they'll message me on Instagram saying, I think someone's using your pictures, and I have to be the guy that goes, no, it's me. And that already doesn't help. I think I don't approach dating any differently than I think anybody who works in any job does. I think it's other people that go, hey, like, how do we communicate? How do we spend time? What does your time look like with everything that you're doing? It's never me that kind of goes and says, hey, because I'm this, we need to move this way at all. It's more people have an assumption of, well, you don't work 9 to 5 and have your weekends free. So how do you have time for a relationship? The same way that other people do, where they find time to be a parent, but they also have to work, or they have to manage a relationship, but also have somewhat of a social life. My timings are just a little different as to when I might be free or not. And there are times that I'm more free than most people that have 9 to 5s. Because if I got a whole week of gigging in London and I've only got maybe 4 or 5 shows, and the London show, I just got to pop up, do 20 minutes and go home, I'm working less than a lot of people. But I think because of it's not normal to everybody to date someone who has that lifestyle, their questions are, how does it work in my puzzle? That's kind of the only thing really. But as soon as I'm off stage, even now, and when I'm talking to you now, you'll know I'm comfortable when I'm not trying to be funny and I just talk. I think some people have a misconception of you always want to be funny, or everything you do is a joke. That's the only hurdles that I have. But once you meet someone who just goes, all right, that's what he does, but that's not who he is, it's fine. It's just a regular dating experience, I guess. Yeah.
I think it's incredible that you say that, because, you know, throughout all the people that I've interviewed, for example, you know, Lord Sugar's spokesperson, he said that Lord Sugar has a character.
Yeah.
Caricature,
yeah.
Same thing I would argue with regards to you. Who you are on stage is not necessarily who you are.
Yeah, I'm switched. Like, it's exhausting to have to, any job that anyone does, it'll be exhausting to have to stay in the mode of that job. If you're a teacher and you have to watch how you speak to children that are in your classroom, you don't want to go home and then talk to your partner as if you have to watch how you speak to your partner. as if they're a child. Some people, they do. You hear teachers when they speak to other people, particularly teachers that teach kids who are in primary school, you'll hear in the tonality of their voice, they talk to people that, okay, I could possibly do that. Let's have a think of how, and you can hear it in their tone because it's what they practice all day long. I would rather not come home and have to be Mr. Funny Guy all the time. So I appreciate switching on and then learning how to switch off. There was a time that I would always stay on. And those times are when comedians are learning about who they are as a person, or comedians are not comfortable within themselves, maybe in their journey, that if they come off stage when they're not doing comedy and the first thing they want to do is entertain their friends or entertain anybody that they meet, that's normally a sign that they're early in their comedy career. But once you are comfortable in it and you do it for a long enough time, you want to switch off. You want to come off and go, do you know what? I've been funny on stage. I've been a joke for an hour. Now I kind of want to decompress. I'd rather play some video games, watch a movie. If you have a partner, cuddle up with my partner, have some food and not have to be Mr. Funny and hang around with people that get I switch off rather than the people that go, hey, make me laugh while you're here because that's what I want from you. So yeah, no, you have a persona on stage, and then once you learn to switch off afterwards, it means that you appreciate being in the persona when ready. And then when you switch off, people don't have to treat you like the persona in your times where you're not working. If you're a hairdresser, you don't want to do hair all the time. If you're a binman, you don't want to pick up rubbish all day long. If you're a comedian, you don't want to tell jokes all the time. You might love your job, but you don't want to live your job when you're living at home as the person you are on stage. So you switch off.
I think, yeah, again, that's another really incredible answer. And I
Thank
think,
you.
Yeah, it is. And I'd just like to just also add, like, we've touched on it partly already, but from a mental health perspective, like, I'm always moved when I speak to public figures such as yourself, because you come across as like so down to earth and everything.
Thank you.
But it must be hard that sometimes you place this pressure on you, or they put you on this pedestal. You must always be funny. You must always be. Has it ever become exhausting? Like there was a time when somebody wanted you to be funny, and it just wasn't the time or the place. Or
yeah, early days, I would say in my 20s, because you still feel like you have something to prove to people that you don't have to prove anything to. You get to your 30s, you go, I don't need to prove anything to you. If what you want is me to be funny all the time, I'm happy with switching off and not. I'm happy with not being Mr. Funny, and if you want that, then we don't have to talk. That's fine. But in my 20s, yeah, it would be exhausting because you're the reason that people treat you that way. Like, you're the reason people think that you have to be Mr. Entertainer, as if that's the seed that you planted in everybody else's mind. But if you come off stage, there are some rappers or actors. Let's go with rappers, for example. There are some rappers that when you see them on stage perform, two of my favorites, like Luda and Busta, you see them on stage and they give you a wild, wacky performance. When you see them off stage, they're very chilled, reserved. I've seen Busta in interviews and seen him live as well. He's quite serious when he's off stage. He's a man of, we treat each other with a certain level of respect. Leave it at that. Quite a militant person. People who know that will see that in him instantly pick that up and go, oh, he's someone not to play with. So let me not play with that person. But if you go on stage and you do all that wacky stuff, the crazy, wild stuff that you do, then you come off stage and you do the crazy, wild stuff, then you're inviting everybody to treat you that way. So I think the contrast is for me as a comedian, as soon as I leave the venue, that's when I leave the performance in the venue. But once I'm in the venue, I could be by the merch table, I could be on the stage, I'm going to give you the performance of Aurie Styla of what you want to see. But when I come out and I go, all right, it's time for me to like decompress, it's a good a stamp that you put for yourself and for other people that when I'm in there, you can treat me as Aurie Styla. When I'm out here, let me relax a little bit. Let me chill. Let me switch off. That's how you manage it for yourself. Yeah, it would affect your mental health if you feel that you have to keep tap dancing for everybody, but you have to choose not to. You have to, when people push and say, tell me a joke. No. It's as simple as that. Just because other people command it. Like, I have loads of sayings and phrases. A lot of comedians, you will use some similar ones. But, like, one is, people tell you, oh, you're a comedian, tell me a joke. If I'm not working, you wouldn't, I'm not doing it. If I was a boxer, you wouldn't tell me, oh, you're a boxer, punch me in the face. That's one. If you're a binman, I pick up that. It wouldn't say pick up that trash for me right now. It'd be disrespectful. When people try to make jokes with you and they're not funny, and they go, "Oh, I thought you were a comedian. You should be able to take a joke." Just because I'm funny doesn't mean that you are. It's not like Breakdown Cover where you're in the car with me.
Yeah.
And because I'm covered and the car's covered means you're covered for any incidents. You don't get blessed with humor because I'm funny. If I've worked on a craft and you tell me a joke and it's not funny, you might have to accept that you're not funny. But then say, well, you're a comedian, you should be able to take a joke. Well, no, I can. You can't give one. You're not good at it. And that's okay. Like, there are people that have this mentality with comics where playing with them validates their humor. So if I can out roast, out cuss, out funny a comedian, I must be funny. Most comedians go, okay, we don't care. But it's the other people that go, no, if I can do that, or if I can give you a joke that I think you should take on stage because I find it funny, I'm a humorous guy. I think when I was younger, that used to annoy me, hearing people talk like that. But now I'm like, I get it. It's how they perceive comics. It's not a problem. All right, cool, do your thing, and later on, take care, and by tomorrow, they're back where they're working, I'm back where I'm working. That's just how it goes. And you manage your mental health as well for me personally, so I see a therapist every Monday. Been doing it for 5+ years now. And my last special was on the journey of coming out of COVID, everyone's mental health was broken, and then how to recover with my own, and then managing my mental health. That was like one of my favorite specials to do, because it talks about the vulnerability of having to do therapy, or wanting to do therapy, and then the normalization of it. When you talk about how things affect your mental health, I bring it up on a Monday, and by Monday afternoon, I'm cool, because I have a bouncing board of somebody who's sentient rather than just me talking to myself, that I can express things that I feel, and they can hold a mirror up that help me reorder things, or a canvas that can help reorder things that I think and feel, and help me guide my way through some of the things that I feel as well. So whilst I'm in a good place now, it's a constant job that you have to work on and manage, just like fitness is. It's a continuous journey of, you might be better now, better than you were in your 20s when it comes to things that may have affected you, but you still have to keep working on managing the things that can affect you, so you don't end up being back like the guy was in your 20s. So yeah.
Again, thank you so much for sharing, for opening up and just sharing. And I think, you had a teacher called Mrs. Hammond.
Yeah. Mrs. Hammond from my primary school, yeah.
So I was actually watching your YouTube videos, and the one with Mrs. Hammond came up. So please tell me all about it.
So I was doing a show in, it wasn't Watford, was it Dunstable? I want to say it was Dunstable. It was Dunstable, yeah, at the Grove Theatre. One of my tour shows was there. I get a message from someone, a woman on Facebook, and she said, "Hey, you won't probably know me, but you know my mum." I was like, whoa. But I looked at her and I was like, there's no way I could be your dad, because it's not happening. But all jokes aside, I was like, okay, cool. And she told me my mum used to teach at school. Her name's Mrs. Hammond. As soon as she said that, like, Mrs. Hammond was everybody's favorite teacher in my primary school. And we were blessed to have her for 2 years, because the way that it was happening, she was going to go from teaching year 4 to year 5 at the same year that I went from year 4 to year 5. If she stayed where she was, the teacher I was going to have, we'll call him Mr. B, because I won't say his name. He was a tyrant. He was horrible. He was going to go from year 5 to year 4. Respectfully, he shouldn't have been teaching children, and that came out later on. So, I'm glad we never got him, but we had Mrs. Hammond. She was the best teacher in my primary school, hands down. Great person. She was funny. She was charismatic, gentle, and just everybody loved her at the school. And so she came to my show. And when her daughter said that she was going to be there, She said, don't bring her up. I'm like, I'm sorry. There's no way I'm not going to bring up Mrs. Hammond because she was that great a person. So I invited her on stage when I knew she was there. She didn't know I was going to do that. She came up and I just wanted to like show my love and appreciation. For her, it was just like another student who, well, I always felt I was like the amount of people that you teach when you're a teacher. I'm just another pupil, another student. But there was a letter my mum gave to her that she had kept for many years. And it was about I wasn't the most easiest of children to deal with. It was kind of, hey, could you just be patient with him? And my mum realizing that she had spoilt me because she'd lost a child before me.
Right.
So she was trying to be very kind of tender and gentle with me because of the worry of what happens if this one goes. And that turned me into a bit of not a bad kid, but a kid with so much energy, but no discipline. Whereas Mrs. Hammond then said, all right, cool. I'm understanding. I'm going to hold on to some of that discipline and put it onto him. And she was just a great teacher. And it was just one of those moments that when she came up on stage, it was quite emotional. And then when I was able to show my friends who went to school as well, like everybody was like, yeah, it would make sense. If it was a different teacher, there's a handful of them that we could say, yeah, we'll bring up on stage. But if it was a different teacher, absolutely not. He could have sat in the crowd and I would have just laughed at the fact that he paid to see me live. But Mrs. Hammond's someone who we had to show love and appreciation to. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, she's a great person. Great person. So yeah, I think she don't think she teaches anymore. But I mean, we're talking, I'm 38 now. So this would have been 30 years ago. Wow. I'm glad she remembered. Wow.
I mean, it's incredible because how important do you think it is to have the support of just that one person that believes in you and sees your potential?
I'm going to give you a controversial answer here. I don't think it's important to have one person. I think it's important to have as many as you can.
Amazing. Yeah.
Having one person believe in you normally comes from when you don't have anyone that does, but one person does and encourages you. That's good to find after the bad that you've experienced.
Yeah.
Idealistically, everybody should have loads of people support what they do. Maybe not jump in and have to financially invest or have to show up every day. But if you've got people around you that love you, you should have people that encourage you. Well done. I hope it goes well. If there's anything I could do, let me know. I can come out and watch you. Those are important things. Having loads of those from different people gives you a confidence that you're not fighting against the noise of you can't do this. You're rolling on the tide of the noise that says you can. Having one person do that is cathartic after never having experienced that. And I would never encourage anybody to seek one person to support you in a world where there could be many. I would encourage that if you haven't got anyone to support you, seek the one person, but recognize that not having people support you is a bad place to be. And that shouldn't be normalized and that shouldn't be accepted as that's just how it is. It's not good. It's good to have many people support you. Like if you had several siblings and your parents, that's many people. If none of them support you, but one friend does, it's an example of how bad the household is. And in that moment, it's important to have the one friend that might go, no, you got this. But I would never encourage focusing on the fact that you have one friend without recognizing how unhealthy the environment is where you feel like no one does. So, yeah. Have people support you, but ideally try and keep as many people around you that speak life into you and you speak life into them rather than focusing on I just have the one. Because one day that one also might need your support and may fail in G'ing you up the way that you want to be G'd up and may need you to do it for them, which you might do. But then once that person can't support you because they're struggling, all of a sudden you've now lost the one person that pushes you because they're dealing with stuff. Try and create a culture of many people around you that can support you and look out for you. That's the healthier way to go. One is cool, but what's more cool is 5. What's better than that is 20. if you get to 20 people that you could say, anytime I look left, right, and center, there's people that encourage me, you're in a healthy place. You've got something that you can't buy that's priceless. And that's the beauty of recognizing people around you that go, I'm on your side and I'm supporting what you do. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's all right.
And every comedian, they have to deal with hecklers, people who say things they shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
I think my whole social media is is based on me being able to deal with hecklers. My brand doesn't invite malicious or aggressive hecklers. It invites people that like to be interactive from time to time. But generally speaking, I have people that go, I want to see him, but I don't want to sit in the front row. And it's not because I'm malicious. It's because I'm quite quick at responding. There's a handful of us that are really good at that, particularly in this country, that we're quite sharp and quick at responding at the things that we're given. When we do that, people sometimes go, where's he going to go with this? But if you watch every bit that I do, the harsher I go is only based on the harshness that you might present. I'm very, very kind of lighthearted and nice until somebody gives me a reason. And because I'm very quick at dealing with those people, I don't really get hecklers that come and go, let me test my mettle. Because those people they'd stand out as bad people at my shows. And they would also then lose the battle because you're not going to beat the guy who has a microphone. And if I really was petty, and I'm not this petty, but I could easily edit the clips. So everything you said that might have been good never appeared and never happened. Only the people in the room know that. Whereas I've never had to do that, but I could. Or I could mute your mic. I could turn you off in the video edit, or I can make sure that I just talk over what you say. Like I could be petty like that. I'm not. But the point is you'll never beat the person who has the microphone, who does this for a living. So, yeah, I deal with hecklers pretty fair. And I don't get bad hecklers anyway, so that's not too bad.
That's brilliant. And it was funny because I was watching one of your clips and one of your audience members talked about you being in a polyamorous relationship.
Oh, yeah, Google basically mistook when I had a conversation with somebody in the audience and said, and Google took it, Google AI, and said Aurie Styla is in a polyamorous relationship with a woman called Sarah and another unnamed woman, where actually I was doing a show in Salisbury where I was talking to a couple in the front row and they were in a polyamorous relationship. But because there was no video clip of them, it was me relaying what they had said to me so I could relay it to the audience. When I had put that up, it looks like I'm saying, so you're in a polyamorous relationship with a woman called Sarah. Google's taken that and gone, Aurie is in a polyamorous relationship with a woman called Sarah. But it wasn't true, but that was fun. That was funny to deal with. I like bits like that. Moments like that are hilarious because it's not about me just making the audience laugh. It's about us being on a journey where we can kind of laugh with and at each other. So yeah, that was fun.
And one thing that's actually refreshing about you is that you're a Christian.
Yes.
So how does your faith impact, your approach to comedy, your approach to life, your approach to people, etc.?
I try not to. I tried to do comedy that realistically everybody can laugh at, but also people who, like my mum's a Christian, I'm a Christian, we can laugh at and go, there is a line that Aurie's walking on, but he's not crossing a line of being disrespectful either intentionally or out of order or he's disrespecting at all people in a way that my faith would say not to. There was a time where I've been a Christian since I was 8, but then there was a long period of time in the middle where you go, well, I was raised a Christian, but I'm not acting and functioning as one. And then you get to a point in my 30s, mid-30s, where I go, no, I want to return back to church. I want to be on this walk properly. And then my comedy started to align with that as well. Whereas I don't swear on stage. Whereas before I wouldn't mind if one or two slipped out. It would be normal for it to happen because you're just expressing, trying to be funny. But now I don't do that. I always try to I always try to present and deliver my comedy in a way where if you question where my morals or my stance or views come from, I can then say, because of my faith. I don't hide it. I sometimes speak on it on stage. Sometimes it's not the place to be able to present my views for a certain topic. So what I do is I can talk about things, and when I get into deeper conversations outside the stage, I can bring that up with them. But how it kind of guides me is I believe I've been given this gift to make people laugh, but I don't use it just to boost myself up, but I use it because there are times where I know people need the laugh, especially in this era. So if that's my God-given talent, I can then use that to go, hey, let me try and bring you out of this dark bubble. And then when we speak afterwards, I can then encourage, talk, pray for you. That's kind of where I stand. My last special that I put out was Green, and Green was the one where I started to realize that's where it was showing up more, because I would speak about my journey with mental health, and then afterwards I'd have people message me and go, thank you for talking about this. I don't know where to go when it comes to seeking advice or when it comes to wanting to talk to a therapist. And then I could use that opportunity to pray for them, encourage where they can speak to a therapist, or encourage where they can visit if they're near a church to go, hey, there are counselors in churches as well, if that's something you'd like to go and do. So it kind of, Christianity doesn't lead my comedy, it leads my life. My comedy is within that. Then how I operate as a comedian is in a way that I would go, would people of the faith still be able to recognize me and go, he is a Christian whilst he is doing comedy? And if my answer is no, I'm swaying too far away. If my answer is yes, I'm on the right track of being able to make people laugh, have an element of comedy which is clean, walk the line, because the things that we can talk about are things that have been invented by God to be able to experience. So when people don't like to make jokes about dating is a thing that you need to do in regards to finding a partner that you want to spend your life with. When people don't like to talk about physical activity that we talk about when it comes to like sex or interactions with your partner or husband or wife or so on, or people talk about it in such a blasé way, I tried not to, but I can make jokes around it because it's something that has been gifted to us within the covenant of marriage. I can talk about those things. I can make jokes about them. I could talk about the life I had before and laugh about things like that. But as long as you can look at me and go, he's coming from a certain level of a morality that even if I don't recognize what it is, because I may not know for myself, I can see it there. And then I can go, that comes from my faith. That's how it helps guide me when it comes to doing comedy in particular. That's what I would like to strive and do, is to find that line where you look at me and go, I know he's a Christian because he says it, and I can see how he conducts himself because of how he talks about things or his material or how he approaches topics of conversation. If that means, though, there's no room that I go into where I struggle, but I know there are some people out there that go, why can't you be edgy? Why can't you go and talk about the things that are like, people that have confused comedy with edgelording, basically saying, if I say the most outrageous, offensive thing, that's comedy. And there are some comedians that have made a great career off of that. It's just not me. It's just not me. I can be quick-witted, funny. I could talk about things from a very grounded perspective without the need to go, if I can be as offensive as I can, that's humor. If that's your type of comedy, then that's not what I'll do. But there are people that go, I don't like comedy, where every time I watch comedy, I have to cringe at how much F words or C words are being used. I have to cringe at the nature of the material. It's a bit, yeah. Everybody's got a preference, but I know where my lane kind of lies. And the funny thing is, some of my best friends in comedy are the total opposite. They're very good, but they're more raw. And whilst they're raw, I find it funny, and I can see how it's hilarious and I laugh. But I also go, whilst I find it funny and laugh, that's just not my thing. You do that, I do my lane, and as long as we're happy with what we're doing for our reasons, then we're good. That's how it works for me.
I think what you're saying is phenomenal, because you're never comparing yourself to other people. You're doing what you feel comfortable with.
Yes.
And I think that's an incredible thing?
I've compared myself. There have been times where you look at your career and you go, I've worked hard. Why am I not to the level that I'd like to be? And then you realize there is a moment where the second it turns, the graph goes up and you are shooting high and you're doing really well. And you go, okay, this is where the moment is that I'm supposed to climb and ride this wave. And you do compare yourself. But again, another idiom that people use is comparison is the thief of joy. You start looking at what everybody else has. Two things should be evident. One, you're not happy with what you have. And two, you're looking at what they show you. You're not looking at what they have. You're looking at what you see and comparing based on what you see. It's easy for me to go online and show nice car, nice house, flashy this, flashy that if I go and buy it. But that person doesn't know the contents of my heart or what I'm maybe struggling with. Alone in the dark where it's just me and my bed and a pillow. If I cry, no one sees that side. You start comparing yourself to people by what they show you. You only start to put yourself down thinking that everybody's doing better than you, where everybody's still struggling and trying to figure it out just as much as you are. So yeah, I've been susceptible to comparison before. I don't want to do that now. I'd rather not see what people are up to, because if I start doing that and going, it'd be nice if I could. If I start doing that, I shoot myself in the foot. Whereas I could just go, do you know what? Big up to what people are up to. If I see it, well done. But I have to focus on what I got to get done. And that's the beauty of like pulling away from comparison and just staying really focused on what your road is. It may happen naturally. You might prompt and peep what someone else is doing, but that shouldn't be your normal. You should pull back and go, now we just got to get work done and get back to work now.
That's really incredible. And I would also say, you are also an avid gamer.
Yes.
Best and worst games you've played?
Best games? Anything from the Streets of Rage franchise apart from 3, God of War, the entire franchise, maybe not the Ascension game. Massive Street Fighter fan, massive Smash Bros fan. Smash Bros 1 is iconic. Melee is probably the benchmark of mechanics for Smash Bros fighting. Brawl was good for the introduction of characters. 4 was great for the music archives. Ultimate is probably the best balanced one of all of them. What other games? One of my favorite games that hasn't been remastered, but I'm probably going to buy it back again. It was on the PS3 or the Xbox 360. Is a game called The Saboteur, which is kind of a GTA style game where you play an Irishman who's fighting on the French resistance against Nazi Germany during the Second World War. Brilliant stories, brilliant concept. Just thinking about it makes me want to go buy the game again now. I think I still have it somewhere catalogued, but I definitely want to go play through that game now. Gears of War is great. Maybe not number 5, but Gears of War, all of them are pretty good. I could sit here for hours going through amazing games. I'm a huge Nintendo fan, so my Switch doesn't leave my side. It's probably in my car right now. Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, but Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are 2 of my favorite platformer games of all time. There's so many games I could go through. I do like nostalgic games. So I like side-scrolling beat-em-ups. So like I said, Streets of Rage, or when they did Double Dragon and they remastered that. Like games like that I do enjoy. Loads. Terrible games. One of my favorite terrible games is one called Cyberdeck. It was on the PlayStation 1. It was such a good soundtrack. The game was mechanically flawed. It was terrible. But the soundtrack was... What is his name? It's going to annoy me that I can't remember his name. The soundtrack was done by the same guy that did the music to Ocean's 11. So it's the same music from Ocean's 11 is on. So he licensed that music to Ocean's 11 after he already licensed it to Cyberdeck in 1997 or 8, whenever the game came out. So all the music that's on there is by him. And if the music is cool enough to be on Ocean's 11, you think, what great music. The game was... I can't begin to explain how bad the game was. It was bad, but I loved it because of the music. Literally loved it because of the music. There are games that I love because of the music. I listen to movie soundtracks, video game soundtracks, and TV soundtracks as well, more than I listen to anything else. So I can recall things really well with that. I remember when Roll Cage came out, and the music to that, Roll Cage was a great game. But when the music came out to Roll Cage, it was done by Fatboy Slim. 2 of the tracks on there were by Fatboy Slim. And it made me hooked on the game just because I could listen to it's not Soul Surfing, is it? What song is it by Fatboy Slim? I think it's Soul Surfing. I'm going to listen to that in the car now when I go home. But yeah, Cyberdeck probably worst game. Streets of Rage franchise. I'm biased. I'm a huge Streets of Rager. Probably one of my best games, especially number 2 and number 4. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's all right.
And the last question I'd like to ask you is, please tell us about any other projects you're working on in 2026, 2027.
My focus right now is on Maverick. So I'll be doing the work in progress shows all through June, probably some through August as well. And then I go on tour in September to do Maverick. And that will be, the first leg is from September all the way up until April 2027. If I know me, we'll probably add dates. We'll bring it abroad as well. But that's my main focus right now in terms of projects. Anything else that will be announced or should be announced will be announced after it's already kind of in motion. So I announce something that you can actually go to rather than announce something where you have to wait until it comes. But Maverick, you can get your tickets now from my website, or if you type in Aurie Styla Maverick on Google, it'll list all the venues that they're at. The big show is in London. It's at Hammersmith Apollo in April. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. I've never done Apollo. I've never even stepped foot in the venue. So it'll be good to see how that works. We'll be performing there as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much for being a great guest.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.